of you by any chance like tried whatever was taught yesterday, and if you want to ask any doubts, you may right now related to NumPy mostly. Pandas will continue in a minute. So no doubts. Okay, cool, then I'll start. So again, just open like the two notebooks we used yesterday. Like, can someone reply, like, are you guys even awake?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Alright, so just open these two notebooks, SCOSH Pandas snippet, SCOSH Pandas main. Again, the snippet file is the one where we made a small data frame of 4 rows, 4 columns, and we'll be applying some functions, and so it would be easy for all of you to visualize the changes. And then we would be applying some of those functions in this main data where we had around 10,000 rows. Now again, just make sure this thing is connected. And once this is connected, just go to runtime and do a restart and run all. With the main file, if you go to the file section, you'll see that the SCOSH dataset.csv file is gone now. So this just happened, so that's fine. You need to just upload it again. So go to this upload thing and upload your SCOSH dataset.csv file here again, and it will load for a while. And once it is uploaded, it will show here, and once that is uploaded, you may go to the runtime and restart and run all again. So it is imported in Google Colabs now. I'll just restart and run all this once. So any problems still here?
No, sir. No problem.
Cool. So just to do a little recap, in the snippet file, we first imported pandas as PD. Column names like name, gender, branch, and marks. And in the values of the dictionary, we gave the values of the rows basically. So we had these 4 students, their genders, their branch, and their marks. And then to make a data frame, we stored the table, the whole data frame, in a variable called df. And to make a data frame, you do pd.dataframe because it's a pandas feature, so you need to write pd. You need to call pandas. And to make a data frame, the function is data frame. And you want to make the data frame of the dictionary A, so we pass in A. So a data frame is made, and to print out the data frame, you just write df, which was where we stored the table, and just shift plus enter to run, and you get this table. So any problem with the snippet file?
No, sir. No problem.
Cool. With the main file, we again imported pandas, and I opened yesterday the whole Excel file. We need to like read that Excel file into pandas. So for reading it, since it is a CSV file, the function is pd.read_csv, and then you put parentheses, and in single quotes or double quotes, whatever, both work with Python. You just write your file name and .csv, so .csv file. And again, to print out the table, you just write df, and you can see the whole table. By default, pandas would give the first 5 rows and the last 5 rows. Now sometimes you just want to take a small look, so you do df.head to get the first 5 rows, and then we see if you want the first 10 rows, you can write df.head and pass in the parameters as 10, and then there was df.tail as well to see the last few rows. Then we applied some basic functions and attributes on the data frame. The first one was shape, which was also in NumPy, and it basically gives you rows comma columns. So you have 9, 6, 9, 7 rows, 8 columns. df.info gives all the column names and the data type of whatever it is that whatever objects or whatever values are present in those columns. So you can see customer ID is integer, salary is integer, like that. And then you have this df.describe function. So pandas will look at the table and जिन भी values का like count, mean, median, standard deviation, 50% was the median, ये सब count ये सब calculate हो सकता होगा, तो वो calculate करके just आपको present कर देगा कि आपको like basic अपनी जो भी table है उसका idea लगे. So any doubt with all of this?
No doubts.
Cool. So if everything clear till now, we will continue. So just come to the snippet file, and the first thing, now pandas was all about tables and manipulating it, right? So we'll start manipulating things now. So the first thing we are going to learn is accessing rows and columns. The first thing we are going to learn accessing is the columns. Columns are a bit like easier every time you do stuff to it. So in every new thing we learn, we'll be looking at columns first. Okay, so how to access a column? What does accessing column means? So let's say you just want to take a look at all the names or all the branches. Okay, so if you want to do that, you can do df dot and then the name of the column. So let's say name, and if you run this df dot name, you will get all the names present in your data frame. Okay, if you want to look at all the marks, so you do df dot marks and you get all the marks, 97, 45, 52, 77. Okay, one another way to do the same thing is you write df square brackets, and inside the square brackets you write the column name. Now this second method is more preferable for two reasons. So in your column names, so like in this example we don't have it, but let's say you have a column name and the name is degree course. So like degree space and then course, and if you want to access that, you obviously cannot write like degree and then give a space and then course. This obviously won't work. This is the wrong syntax. Okay, but you can clearly see with the string and all, with the second method you have strings, so you can like clearly write degree course here and it won't matter. Okay, so this was one of the reasons. The second reason is it could be possible that, so you know how in programming languages there are some reserved keywords and all. So it might be possible that there is some function in pandas and your column name might have the same name that of the function. And so let's say it doesn't, but let's just say that there's a function in pandas known as name. Okay, and you want to apply that function onto this column known as name. So you would be writing df.name.name, and this can confuse pandas and give you wrong results, but it won't be a problem here if you do like this. So this will clearly tell that in our data frame we have the column name, and in that we want to apply the function which is name. So that's why this second method is preferred, where you write df, put square brackets, and inside single quotes or double quotes you write your column name. And this is what you all should use, and I personally at least will be using in the future. So any doubts with all of this?
No, sir.
Cool.
Can you
Second.
show how to add like multiple columns like name and degree at the same time? I tried it, but then it showed an error.
What are you exactly asking?
Like along with name and I want to add branch. Like how do I do that? Like you just told, yeah, but by the second method you can do two things at the same time.
So you want to access two columns at the same time, like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to tell that. Yeah, so you probably tried this, I'm guessing, like name and branch. Did you try this?
Yeah.
Okay, then again, just like I told so many times yesterday, whenever you have more than one values, you need to put all of them in a list. Okay, here we had only one value, so we did not put it around the list, but here we have two values, so we need to put these two values in a list. Now if you try to run this, you'll get the name and the branch. Understood?
Yeah, got it.
Okay, and like the order of the columns doesn't matter. So let's say you want to access marks, you want to look at the marks column first and then the gender column. So you can just write it in that order. Again, since we have more than one value, we need to put all of these values in a list. So I'm putting one more list, and inside that I want to get marks first and then gender. And the order doesn't matter, like आपको जो भी access करना वो पहले लिख दो and ऐसे हो जाएगा. Cool. So this is all there is to accessing columns. Just df लिखो, square brackets डालो और brackets में लिख दो if there are multiple, तो उन सबको एक list में डालो. That's it. Now we'll look at rows. Okay. To access rows, you have two functions known as ilog and loc. These are super duper important functions, and try to put some more attention into this. So ilog stands for integer location, okay, and loc simply stands for location. Now ilog, since it is integer location, the parameters given to this function can only be integers. Okay, and this loc, it works with integers, strings, text and all, and with boolean values also. What I mean by all of this, I'll just show you. So I'll just print my data frame again, and this is how things look like. Okay, now let's say I want to see the values of like this Meghna person. Okay, and we can see the index assigned to this is 2. So you can do a df.ilog, and in square brackets you can give a 2. And if you run this, you can see pandas would say ki in your second index you have the person whose name is Meghna, whose gender is female, branch is electrical, and marks is 52. Okay, any doubt with this? Okay, cool.
No, sir.
Let's say you want to take a look at two of particular rows. So let's say 0th index and 3rd index. So again, you can do the same df.ilog. And again, since we want to pass more than one value, we need to pass them in a list. So one more list and then 0,3. And if you do that, this time it gives you a table of the 0th index and the 3rd index. Now, let's say you want to take a look at the 0th index and the 3rd index, but आपको सिर्फ like उनका gender देखना है. Okay, you want to see a particular column of the two indexes you want to look at. So what you can do is you can write df.ilog and then rows comma columns. Okay, so you want to take a look at rows 0,3, and since more than two values they are passed in a list, so the 0,3 are the rows, and then यहाँ पर आपको column चाहिए. तो since this is ilog, आपको column का भी index डालना पड़ेगा या integer डालना पड़ेगा basically. तो basically आपको gender का index चाहिए. So again, the first one is the 0th index, this one is the first index, this is the second index, this is the 3rd index. आपको gender चाहिए, so you put 1 here. And if you run this, तो 0th and 3rd का आपको the first column मिल जाएगा. That was the gender one. Okay, now let's say you wanna take a look at 0,3 index का आपको branch और marks देखना है. So you can see इनके index are ये 0, ये 1 है, तो ये 2 है and ये 3 होगा. So you do a df.ilog, then आपको दो rows देने हैं. So एक list लगा के 0,3, and इस बार दो columns भी देने हैं. So फिर से एक list लगा के 2,3. So आपको 0th and 3rd index का branch और marks मिल जाएगा. So any doubts with this? Okay, so I guess you got a little bit about the ilog, and you just need to kind of play around with it. ऐसे random values डाल के try वगैरह करना होगा. बहुत बार ये outer list लगाना भूल जाओगे, तो बार-बार practice करोगे, गलती करोगे, उसी से सीखोगे. That's why it takes a lot of time to get comfortable with all of this. So yeah, now this was all ilog. Okay, now I'll tell you about log. ठीक है. So I just said कि अगर मुझे like this one, ऐसे कि मुझे जेंडर कॉलम एक्सेस करना था, तो नाउ ये तो छोटा सा डेटा था, 4 ही कॉलम से, सो आप लोगों ने काउंट कर लिया कि ओके दिस इज 0, दिस इज 1. नाउ लेट्स से फॉर सम रीजन यू हैव 80 कॉलम, ठीक है, एंड रैंडमली 67 कॉलम आपको चाहिए है, एंड सो यू वोंट बी काउंटिंग ना, लाइक 0 से लेकर आपको नहीं पता वो कहाँ पर है, सो आप इतना बड़ा तो काउंट करोगे नहीं इतनी दूर तक, एंड यू वुड प्रिफर कि मुझे जो भी कॉलम चाहिए मैं डायरेक्टली कॉलम नेम लिख के उसे एक्सेस कर लूँ. बट अनफॉर्चुनेटली iloc इज इंटीजर लोकेशन, सो आप सिर्फ इंटीजर ही दे सकते हैं. सो फॉर वर्किंग विद टेक्स्ट एंड बूलियन वैल्यूज यू हैव अनदर फंक्शन लोक. तो लेट्स से अगेन आपको 0 3 का यहाँ पे हमने जेंडर लाया था, सो हमें जेंडर चाहिए. सो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज df.loc एंड देन आपको 0, 3 का आपको जो भी कॉलम चाहिए यू कैन डायरेक्टली राइट द नेम नाउ. सो आपको उनका जेंडर चाहिए, एंड इफ यू रन दिस you again get the same result. यहाँ पे भी FM था, यहाँ पे भी FM है. Got it? Like makes sense why would log be used sometimes and all. Okay, now again यहाँ पे हम branch और marks लाए थे using their indexes, but अगर directly उनका name use करना है तो if.log 0, 3 का. Now again you have two values to put them in a list, and then you want their branch and you want marks, and if you run this you get the same result again. Okay, now as I said before, loc along with working with text and boolean values, it works with integer values too. So here we ran df.iloc2 and we got information of Meghna. Even if we run this with loc, this would work too. So df.loc2 and you again get the values of Meghna. So loc is kind of, you could use it anywhere, and with iloc you have to take care of things. Okay, any doubts till here? You want to you want me to explain anything from the start? Just say. If not, yeah, come to the main file, and here we will so we learned about how to access columns and rows, and we'll try to apply some of those stuff here. So again, even in this main file we'll be looking at accessing rows and columns. Now before exactly doing that, I want to tell you guys something. So if anyone noticed, when we made this data frame, we only had like name, gender, branch, marks and their values. Okay, but when we actually printed out the data frame, Pandas provided us with these 0, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, these are known as index labels. And why are they exactly here? So if somebody has studied SQL before, there's this concept of primary key, which is basically a column जिसके जो rows होते हैं, they all uniquely identify every row. Okay, so basically your data frame, your table should have a column जिसकी चीजें like जिसके जो values होंगे, they should uniquely identify it. Okay, was that confusing or like समझ आया? Like you have serial number and you know कि हर serial number का जो value है मेरे पास 1 2 3 4, that is unique, right? And Pandas doesn't know कि आपने जो data दिया है उसमें ऐसा कोई column आपके पास है या नहीं, so by default वो आपको खुद provide कर देता है with 0 1 2 3. and इसलिए यहाँ पे भी even though our main data started from customer ID, हमने जैसे Excel में देखा था, but still it provided us with this 0 1 2 3. Okay, so does that make sense? Like ये क्यों provide हो रहा है?
Yeah.
And that's what we use. Like हम df.iloc वगैरह भी जब use कर रहे हैं तो अपन ये 2 और जो 0 3 लगा रहे हैं, ये हमारे ओरिजिनल डेटा में था भी नहीं. This is what Pandas gave to us. And obviously these have to be unique because अगर 2 rows हुए जिनका index 2 है, so कौन सा value देना है Pandas wouldn't know. इसलिए Pandas just gives us by default ये 0 1 2 3. Okay. Now let's say जिसने भी ये डेटा रिकॉर्ड किया था, they made sure कि ये जो कस्टमर आईडी की जो वैल्यूज हैं वो यूनिक हैं, ठीक है. एंड यू गाइस डोंट नो इट, बट मैंने लाइक इंटरनेट वगैरह से डाउनलोड किया है एंड थोड़ा यूट्यूब पे देखा है. सो इस टेबल में एक्चुअली ये सारी वैल्यूज यूनिक हैं. ओके, एंड Now one would prefer कि मेरा जो index label है वो pandas का दिया हुआ by default की जगह कि customer ID वाला हो जाए, थोड़ा just ऐसे feasibility के लिए, so that अगर आप कभी df.log 3 लिखो so you would know कि ठीक है मैं 3 लिख रहा हूँ तो मैं third customer की बात कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है. So just वो feasibility के लिए sometimes people do this कि अगर आपके main data में you already have a column जो looks like कि वहाँ पे यूनिक डेटा है तो आप उसको अपना इंडेक्स लेबल बना सकते हो इंस्टेड ऑफ जो पाइथन ने प्रोवाइड किया है. ओके, एंड टू डू दैट यू राइट df.setIndex बिकॉज यू वांट टू सेट द इंडेक्स, एंड आपको जिस भी कॉलम को लाइक अपना मेन इंडेक्स लेबल बनाना है, सो आपको कस्टमर आईडी को बनाना है. And you want this to be a permanent change. I'll be talking more about this later. So अगर आपको permanent change बनाना होता है, so you write in place equals to true, which basically means कि make these changes in place. So if you run this should run without a problem. And if you just print out the data, like you will see that those by default 0, 1, 2, 3 are gone, and the whole customer ID is in bold now. And now these 1, 2, 3, 4 are the index labels. Okay, so any problem with this?
No, sir.
Okay. Now we'll just look how to access columns and rows. So first of all, if you want to just take a look at all the columns, you can do df.columns, and it will just show you all the names of all the columns. Okay, now if you want to access the product column, we know how to do is we write df brackets and in single quotes or double quotes you can just write df product, and it will show you the iPhone, lightning charging cable and everything. Okay, if you want to look at product and purchase address, you can put them in a list and then product, purchase address, and you can see look at 2 columns at a time. Okay, now if you want to look at the third customer, about the third customer, so you can see he bought wired headphones, he bought 2 wired headphones, the price each was $11.99. So if you want to access the information of the third customer, you can do df.log 3. So we see you get wired headphones to $11.99 and everything. Okay, if you want to look at a particular cell, like you want to look at what this third customer bought the product, what was the product bought by the third customer, so again you can do df.log 3 for row and product for column. So if you just do df.log, you want to see information of third person, and you want to look what product he bought instead of looking at the whole data. So you do df.log 3 comma product, and you see he bought wired headphones. Okay, now let's say you want to look at the information of the first 4 rows. So instead, like you can write like this 1, 2, 3, 4, but this is where some of the things we learned in NumPy come. So if we want to look at simply the from 1 to 4, we learned about this 1:4 property, which means go from first index to fourth index. Okay, and all the values in between. And if you do this, you get the information of first 4 rows. And just a note here, in NumPy we saw that this one was exclusive. Yesterday we saw that 6 was exclusive, but here it is inclusive. Okay, so this is something that exists. I cannot do anything about this. Okay, and now if we want to look at particularly product, let's say price each, okay, let's say product, salary, and if they are coder or not of these 4 people, you can write df.ilog. And again, these are not multiple values, 1:4. Okay, so you can put them without any list. And then you want to look at their product, their salary, and if they are coder or not. Just a minute. Oh, sorry, I wrote ilog, not ilog. Ilog works with integers only, and I gave text, of course. So df.log, not ilog. Yeah. And this works. Just one more note I want to make here. So we saw that df.log3 gave information of wired headphones. If I just print out the data one, actually df.log. So we see this was our data, and we saw df.log3 give the information of third index. Now I don't really know the reason for this, but for some reason ilog, if you put ilog here, it still kind of assumes the by default indexes those were given. So if you try to do a df.ilog3, it will actually give the 27-inch monitor thing, which is the row below this one. So ilog is still kind of working with assuming this as 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So just wanted to make this note, but again, log works with everything. So from now on, you can completely work with log. And actually, I'm going to do that. We won't be using ilog anytime soon.
Sir?
Yeah?
Can you again explain how to remove the default indexing?
How to remove it?
Yeah, so remove no.
How to what?
So you remove no 1, 2, like 0, 1, 2, 3.
Oh, to remove them. Okay, not exactly removing them, but like Pandas provided us with it, and we just want our customer ID column because it already has unique columns. You already know it. So for some feasibility, we would prefer कि हमारा ये column index label बन जाए. So उसके लिए the function is df.setIndex.
Okay, sir.
You want to set the index to customer ID, and you want this to be a permanent change. We'll be looking into this in a minute. Okay, so now customer ID index level बन जाता है, and अब आप log ilog functions में ये वाली चीज़ डाल सकते हो. So now you know कि अगर मैं df.log3 लिख रहा हूँ तो मैं exactly third customer की बात कर रहा हूँ and everything. तो बस, and ये just point था कि ilog should not be like preferred now. Okay, any other doubts, or should I continue with other things? Okay, I'll continue. So now we'll be looking at filtering, which is basically getting your data with certain conditions. So let's say you want to look at all the people, information of all the people who are males. Okay, so just to explain I'm showing you a bit easy way. So you want information of the people who are males, right? So you access the gender column. Right, this is how you access a column, right? df square brackets and put in the column name, and you want the gender to be equal to male, right? And if you kind of run this, you'll see false true. So this false true is because gender male यहाँ पे नहीं है, so false, यहाँ पे है तो true, नहीं है false, यहाँ पे है true, ठीक है? And you store this filter, आपने जो अपना filter बनाया है, let's say you store it in a variable field. Okay. So basically ये जो field आपने variable बनाया है, that means कि basically all males हैं आपके पास, ठीक है? And now if you want to look at this data, you can do df.log field, and it will give you information of the people who are males. Okay. So did you understand this? How things are working? Basically you put df.log and आपने जो भी filter बनाया है. Yeah. So I hope you understood this. Now this is kind of a slow way, like पहले आप filter बना रहे हो, उसको अलग से store में कर रहे हो, and then अलग से code कर रहे हो. This is like a slow way, and anyone would prefer थोड़ा efficient, जल्दी लिखना type. So you can directly write this whole thing. ये सब से वैसे समझाने के लिए था. So what you can do is df.log, and then अंदर ही you can just write your thing. So df.log df gender equals to male, and this gives the same thing again. You can read this thing, you can read this whole thing as you want डेटा फ्रेम में वो लोकेशन जहाँ पे जो जेंडर कॉलम इज इक्वल टू मेल. So does this make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One more thing I wanted to tell you here. Let's say you want information of people other than males. Okay. So if you want like the opposite of something, what you can do is this tilde key. It's below the escape key, and you press shift plus that tilde thing. I hope you know how to get this. And if you just write tilde filled, you'll get information of people other than males. In our data set, that is females, so we get the value of females. Okay, and this is how you would run things in one go. Now let's say you want information of people whose branch is mathematics. Okay, so you can do df.log. You want the df where the location of the branch is equal to math, and if you run this, you'll get information of people who are from mathematics. And like, just to point this out, like these things would be super duper easy in, let's say, SQL, because you would need to write select all from students where branch equals to math. With pandas, it gets a little bit complicated, but if you like try this stuff enough times, you'll get comfortable with all of this. Okay. And this is what I was talking about, that loc also works with Boolean values, because we saw that this whole thing gives false, true and all, which are Boolean values. So loc is working with them as well. With text also works, and with integers also works. Now let's say if you want information of people whose marks are less than 50, so you do df.log such that df of marks is less than 50. Sorry for the train again. And you get information of people जिनके marks are less than 50. Now आप दो conditions भी दे सकते हो, and उसमें and or operators का use कर सकते हो. So let's say you want information of people जो male हैं and जिनके marks are greater than 60. Okay, so what you can do is df.log. Now you want the gender as male, so you do df gender. थोड़ा यहाँ पे brackets का ख्याल रखना. Gender equals to male, and you put the and operator, and marks are greater than 60. So marks are greater than 60. Now if you try to run this, it won't work, and that's because आपने जो दो conditions दी है कि df gender male होना चाहिए and df marks should be greater than 60, इनको भी like ये इनके बीच में and है, right? So आपको इसको भी kind of differentiate करना होगा. So you just put this whole df thing into parentheses. So like ये condition df gender equals to male एक parenthesis में आएगी, and ये df marks greater than 60 ये दूसरा parenthesis में आएगी. And if you run this, wait, I thought I made an error. Just a minute. You don't need to put the square brackets here. Just give the two conditions. Yeah, so any problem with this code? Should I like just copy paste it into the chat? I'll just do it. Okay, so any problem with running this?
No, sir.
Cool. Now this was the AND operator. There's also the OR operator. I hope you like know what AND means. Like both should be true. I don't need to say all these things. Now let's say you want the exact both same conditions but with OR. Okay. So you do again the same thing. Just put an OR here. So df.log such that df gender is equal to male. Like OR is put like this. I hope you all know this too, with basic programming stuff. df marks are greater than 60. So you see we get 3 people. Here we wanted male but we got female, and that's okay because the marks are greater than 60, and this is all male, and even though this is not greater than 60, we still got this information because at least the gender was male. So this is how OR works. Okay, so this was filtering. If no doubt still here, I'll apply the same thing in the main file. So any doubts with all of this stuff with filtering?
No doubt, sir.
Cool. And so I just wanted to make one more point. I don't exactly know the reason for this, but we have been putting with filtering till now we have been putting .log, right? So even if you don't put .log, it would still work. So even if you do df filter, this still works. Our filter was we want all the males, and it works. Okay, if you want people whose marks are less than 15, you can simply do df such that df marks are less than 50, and it still works. And you can read this simply as give me data frame such that the data frame column marks are less than 50, and it still works. So you can put log, you can not put log. This would work even with filtering, just with filtering. Okay, we are not accessing rows. This is not exactly accessing rows. This is filtering, which is based on a certain condition. So .log is not exactly necessary here. And I just wanted to point this out. Okay, now we'll just apply the filtering a little bit in the main file. So let's say you want information of people who are coders. I think you all should be able to do it. You can directly write df.log such that df, the coder column, should be equal to yes. That's it. And now if you see, you get all this information and all the coder values would be yes. So now you know that all these customers, all these people are coders. Now let's say you want those people जिनकी salary are more than 1 million. Okay, so you can do df.log such that df salary is greater than 1 million. And if you just run this, you'll see that all these people you have, they are super duper rich with salary more than 1 million. They are buying Apple AirPods and 27-inch monitors and stuff. So yeah, and if you want information of those people जिनकी salary are less than 1,000, so you can do df.log such that df of salary is less than 1,000. And if you run this, you get not so super duper rich people. They are buying AA batteries and charging cable. So there's that. So any problems still here?
No, sir.
Okay, I hope all the filtering thing makes sense. Okay, I'll continue now. So this was how to access rows and columns, and how to access rows and columns with certain conditions, so filtering. Now the next thing we are looking at is updating and modifying rows and columns. The first thing we'd be looking at is columns again. It's easy with columns. Just a minute. Kavish, मेरा वो चल रहा है workshop. So we'll be looking at columns. So again, just to get the name of columns once, you can do df.columns. And you get this thing. Now I'll just print out the data, and let's say you want to change some of these column names. Like from name you want it as first name, for gender you want, instead of gender you want it to be like m/f, for branch you want it to be degree course, and marks for let it be marks. Okay, so you saw that df.columns give a list. It's giving a list because you see the square bracket, and inside the square bracket you have all these names. So we can just what we can do is df.columns. So basically we call this thing, which means we will be getting this, and then अपन अपनी खुद की list दे देंगे with all the changes we wanna make. So name की जगह you can give first underscore name. For gender you can give m/s. For branch I'll give degree underscore course, and marks को let it be marks itself. And if you run this, it works without any problem. And if you print this out, you get these column names which are changed now. So I hope it makes sense how this works. df.columns returns a list, and उसी list में आपने changes करके आपने df.columns को assign कर दिया. Now if you obviously print df.columns out, आपको ये मिलेगा. It kind of makes sense, try to do this. So any problem with this?
No, sir.
Okay, and I hope now you are kind of getting like yesterday I said that pandas ki syntaxes are simple and easy to read, and how everything you would be writing would make sense. So you can see how these all things make sense, right? You want df.look such that df ka branch is equal to math. So this is not a lot difficult to understand. So that's why these are all easy to read syntaxes, and these are some interesting changes we are making. So that's fun. Now let's say you want to remove these underscores and replace them with spaces. Okay, you might want to make these small changes like these in your column names. So what you can do is there's the replace function, okay, which kind of replaces what you want to replace with and what you want to replace and what you want to replace with, but it is a string feature. So basically in different languages you have strings, right? And those strings have different functions in it. And that's what I meant when I said कि थोड़ा Python आता हो तो it would be better. But if you don't know this, it's cool. Just know कि हम एक replace function use करने वाले हैं and वो string feature है. So what we do is we do df.columns equals to, now जो df.columns अपना है, ठीक है, उसमें अपन को replace function लगाना है जो string के अंदर आता है. तो हम df.columns में str feature को बुला रहे हैं. str में you have the function replace, and then you put what you want to replace. So you want to put underscore and you want to replace it with a space, so you just put in the space. Okay, and if you run this, so this runs without any problems, and if you print out your data again, you'll see that underscores are replaced by spaces. So any problem with this statement?
No, sir.
Okay, so ये सब चीज़ें you would get by experience कि str feature कैसे कहाँ use करना है, and then str के अंदर there are different functions, वो हम use कर सकते हैं और there is a lot of stuff. मतलब ये सिर्फ मैं एक example दिखा रहा था कि ऐसा भी कुछ exist करता है. Okay, now let's say you want to rename only a particular column name. Okay, so let's say आपको degree course की जगह फिर से branch करना है. So what you can do is you can use the rename function. So you can do simply df.rename parentheses, and what you do is inside you pass in a dictionary. Okay, sorry, you write df.renames and you want to replace column name, so you write columns equals to, and inside here you pass in a dictionary. And if you remember, dictionary is something where you have a key and associated with that key you have a value. Okay, so in the key part we'll put the old value, which is degree course, and in the value part we'll put the new value, which is branch. So dictionary is curly brackets, and in the old value you would be passing degree course, and you put a colon here because that's how dictionary works, and in the new value you write branch. Okay, and you can see degree course जो है वो branch में change हो गया है. Okay, and any problem with this?
No, sir.
So this is how you would replace like rename a particular column. Now I want you to note this thing. हमने अभी degree course को branch में change किया, right? Clearly visible है. Now if you print out your data again, df again, you'll see कि अभी भी degree course ही है. And this is what there is sometimes with pandas कि you run the statements, वो आपको output दिखाएगा, but it's just showing you कि वो output कैसा होगा. It's not exactly making those changes. Okay, and if you want to make those changes, what you can do is आप ये whole चीज़, ये पूरी चीज़ आप df को assign कर सकते हो कि ये पूरी चीज़ को change करके मेरे df में permanent changes कर दो. Either you can do this, or in some of the functions you have this parameter known as in place. Okay, and जो by default false होता है. So अगर आप उसको true कर दोगे तो these changes would be made in place. So if you run the same statement and the rename function has the parameter in place, उसको अगर true कर दोगे तो ये permanent change हो जाएगा and this would run. And this is interesting, like this doesn't show output now, आपको अलग से दिखाना पड़ेगा. So if you do df now, so अब ये definitely degree course से branch में change हो गया है. So take care of this, like it's so I was just saying कि आपने like ये कर दिया and if you think कि हाँ ठीक है मेरे change हो गए, so maybe ऐसा नहीं हुआ है. ठीक है, you might want to put in place equals to 2, ये पूरी इस चीज़ को df में like define करना पड़ेगा or like that. Some of the functions don't have this parameter, they just don't have it. तो आपको df equals to फिर जो भी change करने हैं वो लगाना पड़ता है. Okay, so any problem with this?
No sir.
Okay, now let's say अब हमें यहाँ पर हमने just एक change किया, right? Degree course का branch किया. Let's say हमें 2 करना है. So you'll do the exact same thing but with 2 values in the dictionary. So let's say आपको first name की जगह फिर से name करना है और m/f की जगह फिर से gender करना है. So you do df.rename and then आपको columns को rename करना है. So columns equal to, you pass in a dictionary and first what you want to do is you want to replace first name and you want to replace it with simply name. And then ये एक चीज़ हो गया dictionary का कि first name को name में करना है and then you put a comma. आपको दूसरी चीज़ भी करनी है. You want to replace m/f colon, you want to replace it with gender again. And again you want this to be a permanent change, so you do in place equals to true. And if you do this should run without any problem. And if you do a df again, you should like this first name is changed to name and mf is changed to gender. So इतना नाटक करने के बाद we are back to our original data. We made some changes in between and now we are back to original stuff. So any problem with any of this? Okay, cool. Now this was modifying and updating rows and columns, and we just looked at columns. Okay, rows में उतना ज़्यादा नहीं है. So now we'll look at rows. So let's say जो last person है सूर्यम, वो like I don't know college वगैरह से निकल गया and उसकी जगह नया student आया है and you want to put his information here. So you can simply like replace this again. So what you can do is you can access this third row. And how do you access rows? You do df.log t. Okay, so df.log t, and now you can directly put in all the changes you want. So in Suryam, let's say the new person is Rishabh. So you put in Rishabh, you put the gender as male. Let's say he's in chemistry, and let's say his marks were 91. So if you do that, and if you do a df, so you'd see कि मेरा नाम like completely चला जा चुका है and this new student is now there. Okay, makes sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now let's say you want to change only a particular value. So let's say Sauparnika comes in later and she says, "Sir, there's a typo in my name. It's Sauparnika, but my name is Sauparnika." So you can access this exact cell, exact coordinate, and how you would access is df.log 0, name. This is how you access a particular element, right? So you do df.log 0, name. Again, we are using log, so log can work with integer values, and you can just change this name. So from Sauparnika, it's Sauparnika. If you make this change and print out the data again, you can see the change here. So this is how you can like even change particular elements from anywhere in the data. It's all about like coordinates. ठीक है, third row में branches chemistry में ऐसा सब. Okay, so does this make sense? Pretty easy. Okay, now let's say in a row you want to make multiple changes. So let's say कि ऋषभ निकल गया, मैं वापस आ गया हूँ. So you want my information here. So what you can do is df.log, like third index में we want to make the changes in just a minute. Yeah, we want to make the changes in the name column. We want to make the changes in, we don't want to make it in gender column, ठीक है, मेल ही हैं दोनों. So you want to make in branch column, and let's say marks में भी नहीं change करते, I want my marks to be 91, ठीक है. So df.log, so basically हमने third index में हमने name और branch column को access किया, and we want to change these things. So since हमें दो चीज़ें change करना है, हमें exactly यहाँ पे दो चीज़ें देनी पड़ेंगी. Just a minute again. Yeah, so we want to change this thing. So name हमें ऋषभ की जगह फिर से सूर्यम करना है. And for branch we want math. And if we do this and print out our data again, so like आपने यहाँ पे like particular elements को change किया. So any problem still here?
No, sir.
Okay,
No, no.
now we'll apply this in the main thing. So I'll just print out our data frame again, the first 5 rows. And now, so all these salaries, let's say, are in US dollars, and you want to point this fact out in the column name itself. Okay, so what we are doing is, we'll be renaming salary column to salary USD. This is what we are doing. And I hope you can do this. You can try it yourself too. I'll just write it. So you want to rename a column. So for that, what you do, df dot rename, and you want to rename a column. So columns equals to, you pass in a dictionary, and the key value you pass the old value, which is salary, and in the value you want the new, you pass whatever you want the new value to be. We want a salary USD, and we want this to be a permanent change. So you do in place equals to true. If you run this, it should run without any problem. And if you do a df dot head again, you'll see कि salary की जगह salary USD हो गया है. So any problem with this?
No, sir.
Cool. Okay. Now let's say you want to find information of the people who have worked with Python. Okay. So we saw the replace feature here, right? We saw the replace thing, which is a feature of string, right? So there's another feature in strings known as the function is contains, which will just see that in a long like string, if the string contains a particular word. Okay, so you want information of people who know Python. Okay, so what you can do is you can access that column. So you want to work with language, work with column, and you want to access its string features, and string mein you want to apply contains function, and you want to see if it contains Python. And if you run this, so if you run this, you get this true false thing again, but we don't want true and false, we want the whole table. And how do you get a table? By simply writing df, right? So you can put this whole thing into df. So if you do df brackets and then copy paste this whole thing, you will now get information of people who have worked with Python before. Okay. Now just a small exercise kind of thing. You can see for this 8th index guy, you cannot really see Python because the whole sentence is truncated. यहाँ पे dot 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 दिखता है, but you can access this exact cell, right? So I just want you to access this cell and see कि Python आगे लिखा है या नहीं. So just do that. Whoever does it, like just inform me. Just a quick little exercise. So did anyone do this? We just want 8 index का language work with column. How do you do that?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Yeah, what did you do?
df.log 8.language worklist.
8 comma.
df.log square bracket 8.
Yeah, language work with, right? Yeah, perfect. This is exactly what you do. So if you can, so you'll see that वहाँ पे truncated था Java and Java लिखा हुआ था, but it's Java, JavaScript, and then you can see the Python. So you know this is correct too. Like this guy has also worked with Python. Okay. So any doubts still here?
No, sir.
Okay. So now we'll be looking at adding rows and columns. I hope this is all not too difficult. Like, I know this could be a lot to process in the first try, but even if you are getting interested and try to do it later by yourself, that'd be awesome. Okay, so again, the first thing we'll be looking at is columns. So how do you make a new column? So what you can do is you can kind of start writing assuming there's already a column. This is kind of weird, but okay. So let's say you want a new column named surname. Okay, and you want to make a new column. So you can directly access it like it's already exists. So you can do df surname, and then you can apply and you can just give it all the values you wanted. So for Soparnika, we want the surname Nair. For Darshit, his surname is Desai. For Meghna, it's Patel. And for me, it's Gupta. And if you run this and print out your data again, you see you get this new column now, surname, which has all the surnames of these people now. Okay, any problem with this? Okay, cool. So let's say now you want another new column, which would be full name, and that would be an addition of like the name and surname, obviously. So for that, what you can do is you can name the new column full name. You can just access it like it already exists. You just assume it, and you want it to be name plus surname. So you write df name plus df surname. So this is like such easy syntax, right? If you run this and if you print out your data again, you see that you get the name plus surname, but like just join हो गया, space नहीं है. So what you can do is just like give a space. So like we want a new column full name such that it's df name plus बीच में space होगा plus surname. If you run this and run your df again, you will get a proper full name now. Okay, any doubts with this?
Sir, by this method, can we change the integer data type as well?
By what method?
By this addition method.
Yeah, we'll be looking in this. Yeah, we can make changes with like integer values also. Later we'll see that we'll convert this salary USD we'll make a new column, salary in thousands, and we'll basically divide this whole thing by 1000, and here you'll be able to see those values. So I'll make those changes in a minute. Yeah, you can apply with marks like percent वगैरह चाहिए, so you can do all that. Any other doubts? Okay, so now since you have the full name, you kind of don't need the name and surname, right? So what we'll be looking at is dropping columns. Okay, so how do you drop a column? You just write df.drop, and you want to drop 2 columns, so you need to pass them in a list. You want to drop name and you want to drop surname inside quotes. And this is where something we learned in NumPy comes in. So you want to drop name and surname for every single row, right? You want the drop function applied in every single row, and for if you want to apply a function in every single row across the rows, what do you write? You write x is equals to 1. This is what we learned, right? Yesterday we applied sum in x is equals to 1, so we got the sum of all the values in all the rows. So this is where x is equals to 1 comes in, and this is where it could confuse you. Like for me personally, I think like this should be x is equals to 0. We want to drop name and surname along the column side, so I always think that this should be x is equals to 0, but apparently it's x is equals to 1. Okay, so this all still kind of confuses me. If it confuses you too, it's all right. You just need to practice. Okay, and then you want this to be a permanent change as well, so you want to do in place equals to true. And if you do that and print out your data, you'll see that name and surname columns are gone now. Okay, any problem with this? Okay. Now what we want to do is we have this full name column, and in that we have name plus surname. Now हमें फिर से full name हटा के name and surname बनाना है, ठीक है? 2 अलग columns बनाने हैं by splitting this. So what you can do is you can use the split function which exists in the string feature again to do this. So I'll go step by step. So first of all, you access the full name column, and uska you use the str feature and you use split. Now split by default spaces से ही split करता है, तो अगर आप directly ये लगा के छोड़ दोगे तो भी काम हो जाएगा, but just to make things clear, I'll write a space here. Okay, and if you run this, you see कि full name में जो भी चीज़ें थी वो split हो गई है, and हमें एक list return हुई है. So सौपर्णिका नायर का we get सौपर्णिका and नायर, दर्शित देसाई का we get दर्शित कॉमा देसाई. So उसने like split कर दिया basically. Now we want to make columns out of this, right? So split has another parameter in it, and I'll just apply this. So we'll write the same thing again, full name. Do I need to like increase the page size? Nobody said today. I hope this is better. So we'll just access the full name column, and in it str dot split. We want to split by space again, and then there's another parameter in the split functions known as expand. And if you do expand equals to true, and if you just run this, so you'll expand. If you run this, and you'll see कि हमें जो भी पहले मिल रहा था वो अब टेबल के फॉर्म में आ गया है, ठीक है? And now what you can simply do is you can make 2 new columns, name and surname. So you can start them like they already exist, and since there are more than one value, you pass them in a list. So you do name, you do surname equals to, and you can just paste this whole thing. So this gives us 2 columns, right? And those 2 columns would be assigned in a name and surname. So this is how it's working. So I hope this makes sense. Print out the data again. And now is full name ka you have split it into name and surname. And now this is like real life stuff. You might want to do this, right? कि किसी ने अपना full name दिया है, सब लोगों ने अपना full name दिया है और आपको नाम और surname में split करना है. So this is all very real life stuff. So any problem with this? Okay, so now since you have the name and surname again, you can drop the full name. And how do you drop something? df.drop. You want to drop the full name. You want to apply this function across all rows, so you write x is equals to 1. You want this to be a permanent change, so you write x is in place equals to true. And if you do a df again, like the full name would be dropped. And now we just want to like name and surname को पहले लाना है, उसके बाद gender, branch and mark. So what you can do is you can write df equals to df, and then आपको जिस भी order में चाहिए you can write it. You want name first, you want surname first, then you want gender, then you want branch, and then you want marks. If you print out the data again, ये सब columns like rearrange हो जाएंगे. Now again to be noted, df.columns equals to वो वाली चीज़ करोगे, that won't work. What that does is वो सिर्फ update करता है. So had you done the same thing with df.columns equals to ये कर देते, तो फिर like यहाँ ये name आ जाता और नीचे fm ही लिखा हो जाता. ठीक है, that just updates it. ठीक है, so like अगर order change करना है, so you have to do like this, df equals to df and just pass in the order. So any problem with this?
No problem, sir.
Okay, cool. Okay, just a minute. Do you guys need a break or something now?
कितना बाकी है?
There's some stuff, there's more stuff. I guess मैं थोड़ा सा और बता देता हूँ. Then you can take a break. So we'll just apply this new adding a column thing here. So what we want is we want to add a new column. Basically we want getting salary in thousands. Okay. So what you can do is you can just like access it like normal. So you want salary. You name this new column as salary USD in thousands. And what you do is you access the salary column, salary USD now, and you just divide it by 1000. If you run this, you print out the data frame again. You'll see you get this new column salary USD in thousands, which is basically just division of this by thousands. 50 means 50,000 USD, 8.82 means 8820 USD, like that. So any problem with this?
No, sir.
No problem.
Okay, I think you can take a break now, and after that I'll continue with this is a group by function जिसके लिए like अलग से notebook बनाना पड़ेगा. It's kind of difficult to understand, and there's this data cleaning part, and then कुछ छोटे छोटे important functions हैं. We'll just look into them once. Okay, so you can take a 15-minute break now, and we'll continue from 4:30. So any doubts till then you can ask me. So okay, yeah, break time now.